Hi everyone, welcome back to Mad About Cards and Crafts. My name is Marla. Today I'm sharing 3 backgrounds that I created using Nuvo Embellishment Mousse. Sorry about that. The first color that I used was Old Navy, and that's what this one is. And this is new to me. I know it's been around for a while, so I wanted to play with it and see how it worked on my cardstock, what technique worked best, and that's what I'm doing here. So I took the mousse and I put it on the side of my mat so that I could mix it up a little bit so it wouldn't be quite as hard, and I'm using a stippling brush to put it on. Now for this card I'm putting it in circular motions, and as you saw I also put some directly to the cardstock. I found out that this is something that you don't want to do because you can see that I do have those marks on my background. So I'm going to use a little cloth to try to protect it from fingerprints, and I'm continuing to put this on in a circular motion. And you can see the shine from this. It's much different than when you're using distress ink or distress oxide. You actually get kind of like a metallic feel to it. It's just actually more of a pearly feel, I would say. So I'm going to add a little bit more here because there's still some white spots, and I'm moving in a circular motion. I really like the look of my finished cards, and I think that this has won me over, at least these 2 colors. I don't think I'm going to be I want it all for this, but I do absolutely love these 2 colors. So right here I'm going to create a second background. I'm going to try to do a little bit of blending. So I'm using that darker navy shade on this, and I'm still working in a circular motion, trying to blend this smoothly, get some, even distribution. And in the end, this background ends up being my absolute favorite. After it dries and when I get the additional products on this, it is stunning. It is the most beautiful background, and I'm really, really happy with this. So I'm continuing to blend this. I'm going to do a little bit more blending on this side, try to get a little bit of even coverage, and then I'm going to come in with the powder blue and start blending that. A little bit more. I just wanted to get it just a little bit darker here. And I'm using a palette knife, and after I'm finished right here, I'm actually going to pause the video and go over to the sink and wash my brush out, wash the palette knife, and clean up my mat. You don't want to leave any of this product on any of your surfaces because it will dry and it will get crusty. Alright, here I come with the powder blue. Guy, I had such a hard time getting that foil off the top of it. When I close these off, I end up putting some plastic wrap over the top. I am going to get some press and seal. I don't have any here. I understand from what I've seen that putting the press and seal over the top really prevents some of that drying out that people have had problems with over time. So that's what I am going to do. I'm mixing this on my mat, and now I've got some on my brush. I'm going to put it on in a circular motion, so I'm starting with that circular motion and trying to blend it in, and you see it's going over the top nicely of that dark navy mousse. It's just lightening it up just a little bit, and you're going to see that eventually I'm going to change the motion, and I think that I just, I was, there we go. We're going to start going in more of a painting motion, and I think I get a better coverage and a smoother coverage this way. You don't actually, I mean, you'll see a little bit of texture from the lines, but I think that I like this a little bit more. So I'm just painting it on, and I'm going to go back and forth and blend that in. I tried the circular, as I started to say, because I was thinking of like my distress inks and my oxides, and that tends to be how I blend that, but it seemed to be this painting up and down motion really gave me a beautiful finish to this. So it's not going to look like very much, but as you saw on the card at the very beginning, it turns out to be just stunning. I'm going to move on after this and go to my next panel. See how pretty that is? And I'm just going to do the powder blue. So I wanted to do a little bit of variation. I wanted to see how they blended together. I wanted to see how they looked on their own. And so this last panel will do that as well. With that brushing motion, I'm going to just get that solid panel. So I have a solid blue, light blue, and then I have a solid dark blue, and then I have the blended one. So this one, when I finish with it, you're going to see that texture that I was talking about, and it is just lovely. This really was an experiment. I had never worked with these products before, and I, like I said, I absolutely love them. I just think that it gives a different look to the background than anything I have done before. And then when you pair them with the Gina K design products, it was just gorgeous. I have a lot of her Christmas collection, especially. I don't have this year's collection, but I do have some of the past collections, and using her ink and the stamps with this, I think, just made some of the most elegant Christmas cards that I've made this year. So this is a little bit of a process. I did, I wanted to make sure that I got really good coverage, and I did speed this up 2 times, so you can see that it did take a little bit of time. It's not quite as fast as the ink blending is, but very therapeutic. I was listening to a little bit of Christmas music. I did get or start listening to Christmas music. Here's where I make a little bit of a mistake. So I'm using my microfiber cloth, but I got something on the paper, and I'm going to cover this up when I complete the background, but I would not recommend using a cloth that has been used for something else. So I just grabbed what was closest to me instead of tearing off a paper towel or something like that, and I ended up getting, I think it's kind of like a little creamy color or a brownish tone, and you can barely see it in fact, you don't even notice it in the final card. So it goes on very smooth, and again, I would recommend putting it on the side because it is a little chunky inside. It's still a mousse, but it's not real creamy until you get it out and you mix it up with that palette knife. So I would recommend and putting something underneath your paper just so that it's an easier cleanup. It did clean right up, but having that paper there really made cleanup even that much easier. So I'm just about done with this, and then we're going to start working on our backgrounds and doing a couple of techniques. So I decided to make all 3 of them a little bit different, use different products to see how they worked on it, and you'll get to see how that worked out for me. All right, so see, I got a little bend. I actually accidentally hit the corner and bent it up, but it's okay. You're not going to see that really in the final card. But I really like that smoothness. See the difference? There's where I did the swirly motion, and you can kind of see that, but then you see the brush strokes in that solid piece right there. and I think I kind of prefer the brush strokes. And then this one, it doesn't look like much, but wait until I finish it. That's my favorite. All right, so now we're going to be using this stencil right here from the Crafter's Workshop. And I'm going to take some of this Nuvo glitter paste, and I am going to put it over this blended stencil, or blended background. And what I didn't realize is typically when I use this, I get a shimmery, glittery background, and it just looks like white glitter to me. But on this background with the dark colors, for some reason I'm not sure if it's the Nuvo paste that it worked with, or or if it was just the colors that I used, but I got this amazing look with this paste. I got a green at some angles, and I got gold at other angles, and it was amazing. I would recommend this to anybody. It is so incredibly pretty. So here I'm just trying to clean off and get as much of that paste back into my jar, and then I will lift this up, and there's the magic. Wait until this dries, but look at how pretty it is. I was so happy with this. So I'm just cleaning up a little bit of the edges, and I'm going to set that aside to dry and move on to our next panel, which is going to be the solid blue. So this is some gouache that I have in my stash. It's white. I'm going to put it on this Tim Holtz stamp block and spray it with a little bit of water. I'm going to take a wet brush, so this brush is wet, and I'm going to flick it on the background. So because I had those little marks from where I had put the paste on, or the mousse on, directly to the panel, I thought that I needed to cover that up a little bit. And so I'm going to just put these white splatters everywhere. And this would make a great background scene for a little scene card with little animals or characters, but instead I'm going to use it differently. So I set that aside to dry, and I'm going to take this Stays On ink, and I believe it's Midnight Blue, and this Snowflake stamp set from Gina K Designs, and I'm going to stamp directly on the background. I thought Stays On would work the best. I wasn't sure how the other ink would sit on that Nuvo Mousse, so I am laying these out, and then I am going to stamp. But I thought that I had used these before. I thought that these had been used, that I had primed them, and apparently I didn't. So I had a little bit of a mishap here, and I ended up using the panel anyway and creating another beautiful card, but it stuck. So you're going to see I'm stamping this up with that Midnight Blue Stays On, and it will stain your stamps. So those stamps are stained. That doesn't bother me. Some people it will. Sorry for the glare from my lamp. So here we go. So I'm stamping this, and you see that it's sticking, and I'm trying to figure out how I can get this up, because I think I may need to restamp, because it might not be a solid stamped image, which it wasn't, so you can see. But now my paper's moved. I'm not very good at realigning the paper and restamping, and I look at it and I think, you know what, I'm just going to ruin this. So I try a couple times to realign this, and it's just not going to work for me. So I pull it off and I just run with what I already have. All right, so I'm just going to pull it out right here, and here's a look at what the finished piece looks like. And then here's a look at the 3 panels. The first one with the gouache, the second one with the stamping, and the third one with the glimmer paste. And then I'm going to show you the cards. So this first card I created using the poinsettia from Fruit of the Season. The background is the sparkling snowflakes, and the sentiment comes from another set, which is Peaceful Holidays. I did mount the poinsettia on fun foam and some silver glitter paper. That circle die is actually a paper tray ink die, and I just did a little bit of heat embossing on vellum for the sentiment and put it on top of some pattern paper. This one right here is the second card, and I used the Merry and Bright stamp set. I used the sentiment and the ornament. I did emboss the ornament directly onto the panel and put the other sentiment on top of some white cardstock. I mounted that on some silver foil or glitter paper. And this last one right here is my favorite. That is using the fabulous labels stamp set, holiday labels stamp set, and some ribbon from, I can't remember, it is really reasonable ribbon. And there's a look at all three of them. I did use the label, some label dies, I couldn't think of the word, and cut out several of those layers for that final card, and used my Swiss Dot Cuttlebug embossing folder to complete it. So here's a final look at my 3 cards. I think they're all very elegant, very pretty, and I was happy with the way that they turned out. Please give this a thumbs up and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great day, and thank you so much for stopping by and watching.